Welcome back to another episode of the eCommerce Revolution podcast. We're coming to you on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Make sure you take a minute and subscribe to our channel on YouTube and stick around to the end for an amazing tip from our guest that is sure to kick your e-commerce business into high gear. Our goal for each and every one of these episodes is to educate and entertain you in all things e-commerce. My name is Ramin. I'm one of the managing partners at Skew Agency, and it's great to have everybody here today. So let's get things started.
This is just the beginning.
So today's episode is all about the importance of data backups on an organizational level for your e-commerce business. Coincidentally, today, the day we're recording, March 31st, 2022, is World Backup Day. So if you didn't go through the backup process for your e-commerce business, you better hop to it. Today's guest touts himself as a jack of all trades, master of none. He is an ex-Shopify employee where he held several key positions and now is a partner account manager at Rewind, which builds apps that protect critical SaaS and cloud data. He also used to be a sponsored CounterStrike player. That's a video game for anybody who doesn't know, but I'm sure everybody does know. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, please welcome Sam Francis. Sam, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, especially as you mentioned, World Backup Day.
How did World Backup Day happen? Who got that onto the calendar?
I'm not sure, but it wasn't us. But it worked out well.
That's great. I love it. Would you guys do a special celebration today at Rewind?
Well, we do. Actually, today we just launched backups for Jira, which is big.
Okay. Nice.
Which is big in the space, adds to our portfolio.
I love it.
We also have a game up right now that rewind.com back your SaaS up. And It's an old Space Invaders type game where you're shooting either a malicious attack, a disgruntled employee, human error, or a bug.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That is cool. So everybody go there and start playing. Will it still be up by the time this recording is live?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So where are you calling in from today?
I'm calling in from Wakefield, Quebec, Canada. It's about 45 minutes north of Ottawa, the capital of Canada. And we are in our... yesterday was -10 and today is +13 with freezing rain and +13 weather. Not sure how that works, but that's the Canadian weather that we're going through right now.
That is very cold. I guess I shouldn't tell you what it is here today. We're doing this interview from Austin, Texas. I'll refrain from telling you how it is since it's a little cold on your end. Okay. Well, very nice. I love it. So you mentioned that you were a sponsored CounterStrike player. Tell us about that time. What was that like?
Oh, that time was it was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. I'd probably say about 20 years ago or more. Wow. CounterStrike was the game we played. It was in the summers that I really think teenagers need to really embrace are the ones when you're too young to get a job.
Yeah.
But you're old enough to be let out alone. It's those come home when the street lights are on kind of scenario. Yeah. So what I did for that summer is I cut grass for my dad, and basically I just used all the money to buy computer parts, and then we had this core group of friends that would honestly just play from 4 p.m. almost until 4 a.m.
Wow.
We all sat in the same room and we went through it. And at this time, it was basically getting free stuff. LAN tournaments were small. Mm-hmm. And also when I grew up in a rural area, so it was either farming or something else. Those were the two, farming, mechanic, or something else. And I was always into the something else, the tech, computers, building computers, and so forth. So it was really fun. Going to the LAN parties and playing Counter-Strike was fun. We were sponsored by Everbest Computers, and we'd get matching cases, and we'd get the banner behind us. And it was nowhere near what esports is today,
Right.
which I think is amazing where it is. Um, but yeah, it was wild. It was just, you know, CounterStrike is the kind of game where the more time you devote, the
Hmm.
better you get.
Wow.
It's
Interesting.
you're not kind of left off in the same spot. So I found that very interesting. And it was just neat, that's when the internet
Hmm.
and gaming was new. So when you could jump on and you're playing a team from Austin, Texas,
Uh-huh.
and you're sharing the same thing, right? Like that's kind of neat. That was still brand new then.
Yeah. So, wow, 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. If any parents are listening to this podcast, screen time, mega screen
Yeah.
time, basically. Yeah. But
Yeah.
there were no tools to shut down the screen time back then either, were
No,
there? No.
no,
What about now? Do you any games you play now that you love?
definitely. Well, I just purchased a PC for some video
Hmm.
editing and photography. I picked those
Hmm.
up in COVID again.
Nice.
So what I've been playing actually is Fortnite. It
Hmm.
My brother's playing it and a couple friends play it.
Hmm.
And it's kind of neat how they take the seriousness of like a first person shooter, but then it's mixed with Disney and then mixed with like Grand Theft Auto. And I think
Right.
what draws me the most is I've never paid a cent for this game, and
Mm-hmm.
I've played it a lot. They always change the maps. They
Hmm.
change the weapons in the game. They change if you can build, if you can't build,
Hmm.
and you can do party mode chat where you're just chatting with your friends and you
Hmm.
don't have to hear any outside noise. And I think that's a big thing with games today is the everything that kids are presented with that they
Right.
can't control. The kind of like bullying and that sort of stuff. Like it kind
Hmm.
of takes that out of it, and you can just hop in and hop out. And since you find your guns and stuff, I feel like I don't feel that I need to constantly better myself at the game.
Right, right. Yeah, I get some of this from my son. Yeah, he plays quite a bit. So he shares some of these. He always wants me to come and get on with him and play too. But
Yeah.
I do not profess to be a gamer. It's not. I don't have the time in my day anymore to do it. But it sounds
Yeah, so
fun. It sounds like a lot of fun.
it is fun. Fortnite's fun. I think I'm an F1 fan, so
Oh,
I
okay.
just got the Formula One new game.
Mm.
Might get into the simulator kind of wheel and foot pedals and stuff, but
Mm.
not there yet. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, Formula One. We have Formula One here in Austin. I think it's every August. No, maybe it's October. So they part of the circuit. So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about your
Yeah.
time at Shopify. What positions did you hold at while you were there at Shopify?
Yeah. So at Shopify, started out as guru.
Hmm.
So basically handling all your support tickets,
Hmm.
which was really, really fun to do. I know a lot of people don't enjoy a support role, but I think there's just that instant gratification on really helping someone, right? And I
Sure.
think that's what's really cool. The e-commerce space is you're helping merchants, which isn't just a
Hmm.
merchant. Like I have friends that live on Shopify stores, so it's like
Hmm.
I'm helping them feed their family and all that
Right.
sort of jazz, So it kind of in the bigger scheme of things, you're helping them at big time. And then that's whenever Shopify was launching point of sale.
Hmm.
And it was kind of in beta. And the funny thing is nobody kind of wanted to handle the point of sale tickets because it came down to having a lot of it was troubleshooting the client's internet. Right.
Mm.
So
Right.
normally when you're troubleshooting a Shopify ticket, you can kind of see what's going on. You can ask your questions and really troubleshoot nicely and narrow it
Hmm.
down to exactly what it could be.
Hmm.
But with the point of sale, it could have been their internet speed. It could have been the hardware that they're plugged into. So a lot of
Hmm.
physical things that you can't actually see. So what I did is I kind of took on all those tickets. Like I
Mm.
loved it.
Wow.
And I always took on the mindset of every time you answer that phone, think you're helping your parents because
Hmm.
my parents aren't that tech savvy. So
Smart.
that's the kind
Smart.
of way I took it on is like, okay, just imagine my parents every call
Hmm.
and treat it from the ground up and diagnose it. From there, they developed as point of sale took more steam, they developed a point of sale specialist team.
Hmm.
So then we basically took all the point of sale tickets, worked on those, and helped get the point of sale out into the market. And then quickly after that, that is when Shopify, the point of sale was at a really nice spot, and we started pushing pop-ups, or we were used for a lot of pop-ups, right? Because it was the online presence wanted to go in store. But with Shopify point of sale at this time, you basically installed it, logged in, your products, everything was there and it synced. So it made it easy, for the Kylie Jenners and the Palace skateboards and all of these big pop-ups to just plug and play, move locations, have all their data synced, and have everything together. So at the end, it was basically we were the point of sales retail specialist team. And we would go around to events like Complex Con, where we would power like close to 200 merchants inside a big cement warehouse. So you're basically walking around troubleshooting, make sure all their orders go through, and so forth. So that was kind of the growth at Shopify. And I need to also pay tribute to that. My first line of, jack of all trades, master of none is in the e-com and tech world. And as a business owner, as a lot of people are listening, is you wear all these hats.
Right.
So you learn a little bit here and there about everything. And I think what my personal special power, I guess, would be in that sense is trying to figure out what's wrong. I love trying to figure out what's wrong. And even if it's not a XYZ answer, maybe it's a X, A, back to G, and then over to D answer. It's like, okay, we figured it out. And now let's go from there.
Yeah, well, I bet merchants who would call in if they got you, that would be a godsend, because it's intimidating to call any tech support wherever it is, because you feel you don't, as a in this case as a merchant, you don't know what you're supposed to really be asking. You don't know what's going wrong, but to get somebody on the other end who is very passionate, as you seem to be and were definitely during that time, is phenomenal. We just our past episode, episode 10, that was the interview with my wife on Omnichannel. We talked a lot about POS and early days of Shopify, right? POS was a very small part of their business, but as they grew and as they advanced into the pro version and really built out that team, it's really become a very important part of their business, and an important part for all merchants. I think it's great. Tell me, what key information while you were there, what key information about e-commerce did you learn while you were at Shopify?
Well, what I learned that I think was the most valuable, that helped me along the way too, is that everyone's different. You could have 4 shoe stores in a row that are all on Shopify, all on Shopify point of sale. When they go in there, each manager is going to check a different report. They're going to do a different first step. They're going to need a different feature, or they're going to not even know the power of it. So I think the main thing I learned is, you have to start from scratch. Every time you're talking to someone, and every business, you kind of got to understand that just because someone else is doing it that way, doesn't mean this is the way that you need to do it. Not all foot tracks are laid the same to get the same results. So I think the most thing I learned was that just because you sell clothes on a store doesn't mean that if it's collections, blog posts, this will work the exact same for the next clothing store.
Absolutely. Well, that's a great point, and one that all businesses that are catering, service-based businesses that are catering to the merchants out there, that's a great piece of information for them to learn, and also very good for the merchant to know that there may be some commonality here and there, but you're all going to have very different use cases, and you're going to use the technology very differently. Now, a quick word from SKU Agency. So I have a question for you. Are you generating 30% or more of your revenue from email and SMS for your online store? If not, SKU Agency can help. As certified Klaviyo advisors, we have helped our clients generate millions in revenue from email and SMS. These two powerful channels are key to the success of your e-commerce business. To help you better understand the revenue you can expect from email and SMS, we are offering a limited time, complimentary 45-point audit that will break down the opportunity for you. To get your free audit, go to SKUAgency.com reactiveagency.com and click book a call to get started. Now back to the show. All right. So now you're at Rewind. Tell us about Rewind's mission. For those people who don't know about Rewind, elaborate on that, please.
So Rewind, our goal is to back up all SaaS platforms. Currently, we are the leading backup solution for Shopify, BigCommerce, Trello, and QuickBooks Online. We offer Microsoft Office 365, GitHub, and as today, Jira.
Wow.
Because a lot of times people believe that all your data is stored, which it is, but the hard part is rewinding it, and restoring it and having the power at your own fingertips to do this, not having to always rely on a developer or a third party to make sure this happens. And we sit nicely across the board as we don't slow down your front end. We run in the background, we're real-time backups, and we obviously back up different things per platform and different times. But for Shopify, we are completely real-time. There's certain things we back up every 24 hours. But yeah, we're that, we say it's not the sexiest app, but in reality, when something goes wrong and you can restore it yourself within 3 clicks,
right?
We are the sexiest app out there when your store is down and you're right back up.
Absolutely. Well, that's an interesting misnomer, right? That, this concept of, everything's safe, especially let's just talk about Shopify because that's where you were before, and everything's safe on Shopify, right? I'm okay. It's in the cloud. I can act, but that's not the point of it, right? Is to, you cannot, to pull it back, to get, to rewind it as the name of the business alludes to. That's the key part of all of this, right?
Yeah, that's, on an organizational level, it's your business, right? Like Shopify is very secure. But if something were to happen on their end, like randomly meteors hit their servers or something, like your data's out, you have no backup, or they'll take the reins on that and say, yeah, this was random on our side. But the way I like to think about it and put it into terms is like, if you're renting a house and the plumbing breaks, you call the landlord because that's their structure. If you spill the beer, coffee, or red wine on your couch, they're not going to come and steam clean your couch, right? That's a mistake that you made. And these mistakes happen all the time. Like I worked at a skate and snowboard store where we used Shopify and, we installed 2 different apps. This was before their multi-location and they were fighting over inventory. We uninstalled one app and it messed everything up before the Christmas break, like everything. And the stories I hear of just people saying like, oh, I'm just going to download this blog app to help me add my links to, and apps add up. So chances are a lot of the time, if you don't do your research, you're going to get the cheapest one sometimes. And that app is going to want permissions and it can ruin a lot of your stuff, So with Rewind, you could quickly log in, bring your blogs back to the day before you installed the app, and then uninstall the app so you're still running clean code.
Oh, nice. And who would you say the ideal merchant is for Rewind? Let's take a Shopify merchant. Who's that ideal? Is it based on some level of revenue, some level of order count, or is it everybody?
I say it's everybody. It really is. Whether you're just starting a store, like back it up. Whether you're, there's a lot of, if you're working with a new agency or something like that, it works both ways, right? Like you want to protect everything you have. I know a lot of merchants that will outsource for work just on the job on contracts and not go through a vetted agency through the Shopify ecosystem, which if you're listening to this, I highly recommend use vetted Shopify partners.
Yes.
And you're letting these people into your business that you've never really met. And you don't know what kind of code they're installing or what they're going to leave you after.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, it is also a revenue game where if you drop your store on a busy day on a new product launch, that's lost sales, lost customer credibility, and especially with customer credibility and the pivot that COVID has put and everyone's moved online, if you don't have that niche specific product and someone can find it somewhere else, the shopping's at their fingertips, right? So the main merchant is really anyone.
Nice.
I mean, one thing I like to say is like, have you ever uploaded a CSV file in confidence, or clicked like accept these permissions, it's everyone's learning.
Yeah.
And there's so many different things that can happen to a store, whether there's old code sitting from an app that you uninstalled and then you install a new app and it recognizes that code and it makes something funny happen.
Right.
So there's lots of cool different things that Rewind does. But yeah, in reality, it's really for everyone.
That's great. That's great. And the fact that you have, you provide backup for all those other platforms out there, Jira, you mentioned Trello, BigCommerce, QuickBooks Online, that's phenomenal. And, most likely a Shopify merchant is probably going to be using QuickBooks Online. So that's great. That works well. Potentially they may be using Trello for their, project management, or ticketing, and Jira the same thing as well. So I think that you guys are really positioning the business well to, be able to take care of that data backup for everything that a small business or even a large enterprise business, obviously, it goes both ways, would be able to take advantage of. So I love it. I think it's very important. And I'll just touch on that misnomer again. When we speak to clients, ones who are coming from WooCommerce, they're very used to backups. They're very used to taking care, being very adamant, having that backup package, within, either, through what, services that, like Rewind, or maybe they're working directly on this, with the, let's say the ISP that they're with. Any of these companies, they just have to be careful. So they know it, right? They come into the Shopify world if they're migrating over and they say, I got to have that. I want to be safe. I've been through this before. But it's the misnomer maybe with the people who are starting out, just brand new on Shopify. They may not understand the need. So I'm glad you've pointed to that. It's an important element out there. So tell me, just given your e-commerce experience, where do you see e-commerce going in the next 5 to 10 years?
Wow. Everywhere. Like, I think it just seeing what Shopify and everyone's doing, with now like shoppable, I think it was shoppable LinkedIn feeds and, just shoppable Instagram. I think e-commerce is going to be surrounding us everywhere. And it is going to be a fight for people to really stand out and be the brand that they are. But in 5 to 10, it's so hard to think about, because we do get these pivotal things like COVID, where everything has to adjust quickly to in-store pickup, to delivery. These need to be baked in features now. And you get things like, for example, Fortnite, where I've never spent a cent, but my nephew has probably spent like $200,
right?
On skins and all that stuff. So,
oh yeah,
I feel e-commerce is going to be everywhere around us as it is now. If anything, I think it'll be faster to shop. But that's already out, paying with your fingerprints.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you want me to save your checkout information for next time? Yes. They already know you're coming back.
Right.
What I would like to see is more in person. From being in retail, I think there's such a level of experience and branding and just feeling of a business and a brand of being in a space.
Right.
So I liked where it was headed in the sense of more experience stores, where you go into a store and you're almost in this experience, and you might even leave and just shop on the website, but they needed you to get in and feel the brand. I think those are some of the biggest things that e-commerce could work towards, would be those getting more of those 5 senses all triggered together. I don't think we're going to be smelling through our computers anytime soon or tasting,
All right.
but something along those lines of being able to really separate yourself from the other brands out there. That's where I hope e-commerce is going. And yeah, e-commerce is
It's
wild.
yeah, it's I love it. You know, obviously I'm very passionate about it as well, and
Mm-hmm.
have seen it in different, you know, in 25 years of doing this, I've seen it in different forms, and I feel, you know, it's in the last, you know, 5 years, it's had this massive resurgence. You know, a lot of it, yes, let's give a credit where credit's due to Shopify and, you know, their approach to innovation. But you know, I agree with you that you know, if you can that in person, if you will, experience is still
Yeah.
very, very important. That's, you know, to be able to touch something and feel it. If something like that can be replicated in the form of, you know, VR or, you know, augmented reality, that's amazing. Or just quite frankly, walk into a store,
Yeah.
you know, and keep that experience alive still is very important. So. No, that's great. So let's talk about you know, we told our audience that our guest today is going to bring in a tip at the end. So if you were standing in front of an e-commerce entrepreneurship class, what one tip would you offer them to help them take their business to the next level, or as we like to say, kick it into high gear?
To kick it in high gear, you know what I've been finding is don't look over your neighbor's fence.
Hmm,
Like
nice.
build your store. You
Hmm.
fail. You know, like it's kind of the I've seen so many websites, you know, and
Hmm.
they all some look the same, but you can tell those ones that didn't look over the neighbor's fence to see what they were doing and try to replicate it. Find your own success, your own branding, your own. I mean, sure, there will be similarities,
Hmm.
but you can only learn from other people's mistakes so much. You need
Yeah.
to learn from your own hard mistakes. And I know it's a hard thing to swallow. I hated the fail forward thing because I was like, no, because I'm putting
Right.
it all in. I don't want to fail. But
Right.
when you click on that site and you see, even if the mouse cursor is different
Hmm.
or the shopping cart button is a little different, these little things will get picked up on. And it's going to speak to your brand because it means something to you. And I think
Hmm.
more than ever, people are buying a brand these days and more of a statement. So it might not be your best selling T-shirt right in front. It might
Hmm.
be that every time you sell that T-shirt, you're donating a shirt to someone else in need.
Hmm.
So these are the things that I feel will really kickstart your business. Is don't just be passionate about your business, be passionate about the back end of your business too, the
Hmm.
everything else that goes along. And just because somebody else selling t-shirts saw success by, like I said, putting their top collection first in this, like, you don't need to copy that. You
Right.
can
Right.
find your own way. Great Fleetwood Mac song as well, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
or go
No, I
your own
love it.
way.
I think you know, you should coin that phrase. It's a great title for a business book. Don't look over your neighbor's fence. You
Yeah.
know, be you. I think all of those things are really, really important. And you know, there's a lot of, you know, copycat you know, approaches to things, but the ones who, you're right, absolutely right, the ones who take that time to be themselves, stand out, do their own research, understand their own, you know, understand their brand, their buyer persona, all of those elements. That's where you start to see success. Well, you got to teach that class then, because, or at least show up and, you know, present your "don't look over the neighbor's fence" theory, because I like it. It's great,
Yeah.
great, great
You know,
theory.
it's something, it's easy to copycat, you know,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it's funny actually. How I learned this was I started a skateboard brand a little bit ago, on Shopify, and I sent out 4 designs to friends.
Hmm.
Which one do you like the best? Okay, and these probably ranged from, you know, some spending 72 hours or way more just figuring out how to use Photoshop and, you know,
Hmm.
getting my hands dirty in it. Everyone chose the one that I drew with my finger on my phone because
Wow.
they said, that's you. That's different, you
Yeah.
know? And I was like, hey, that's really cool. You know, they're like, oh, that one kind of looks like this that I saw, but I've never seen that board. I've never seen
Wow.
that t-shirt, but they're like, hey, that kind of resembles this. And then the one that worked, people were like, I've never seen anything like that before. I was like, but this was my 5 minutes. They're like, yeah, but it was your 5 minutes. Like you
Right.
put this out quick and you didn't
Uh-huh.
care about the fine lines and this, and the company's
Mm-hmm.
called Worry Less.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to also push that, right? So how
Mm-hmm.
can you push a Worry Less brand when everything is fine tuned? Because you're
Wow.
clearly worrying from A to
Right.
Z about how it's done, right?
Right.
So I think that kind of like helped me realize it. And now when I see brands with these different designs that are just
Mm-hmm.
real and natural, I'm like, that's what I want to support.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I love the fact that, you have your own e-commerce business, and, you approach everything we've talked about today through the eyes of an entrepreneur. You are an entrepreneur as well. I'm just curious, while you were at Shopify, knowing you're not there anymore, but while you were there, was it encouraged to start, I know Toby, the CEO at Shopify, it all started with the fact that he had a snowboard
Yeah,
site. Do they encourage employees to build their own online stores?
definitely.
Nice,
Definitely. They 100% live that fail forward, live that like
nice.
try it, and I think that's something, they were way back, they would do, maybe they still do hack days, where you go
Mm,
in, you try to,
right.
just build new products over a short period of time. A lot of tech companies do that.
Hmm.
But, Harley would jump on the phones with support,
Hmm.
you
And
know,
Harley
and
being the
Harley
president.
Finkelstein, yeah,
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
president, yeah, he'd jump on the phones and,
Hmm.
and see and listen and talk to these clients,
Nice.
and putting himself in the uncomfortable position from such a high level, that just shows that they constantly believe in this, like, be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And it's
Hmm.
okay not to know. But as long as
Yeah.
you're honest and you'll find out, then it's good.
Yeah. Well, that's good for any merchant, out there. Whenever you're calling into calling in to speak to a guru, you could be speaking to a guru who also has an e-commerce business. So ask away. Maybe ask them what they do.
Yeah,
What kind of store they have, and they're living that with you. But it's great, and I love what you guys are doing at Rewind. I mean, I think it's an incredibly important component. I mean, data is sacred
yeah,
to any business, especially, and including e-commerce businesses. I mean, you as an entrepreneur, you've got a lot on the line. You can't
definitely.
afford to lose that. So I love that. Love, the stories of Shopify. Phenomenal. I'd love to jump in, if you're good with it, to some rapid fire questions as we wrap up this podcast. Are you good with that?
Definitely.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
So let's talk about, so what gets you excited to wake up each and every day to tackle the day?
My kids, my family.
Nice, nice,
Yeah.
nice. I love it. And how many kids?
Two kids,
Nice.
6 and 4.
And
Just they're just a ball of excitement, and curiosity,
oh yes.
and I think just showing up for them every day gets me
Uh-huh.
excited. Like
Uh,
it's you try to present a better version of yourself every
right.
day, and it's not. You start realizing that this isn't just for your kids.
Yeah.
You start making the better version of yourself as well.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's definitely my kids and my family that get me like super amped up to get up every day. I mean, sometimes it's earlier than I'd like to get up, but that's another thing. You're up, you see the sunrise, you're like, I can never get this time back. So why
Right.
not just take it? Even if I'm tired, I just want to
Hmm.
sleep. You don't owe it to them, but yeah, you owe it to them.
Yeah.
You brought them here. Like,
Yeah. Right. Your responsibility. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. And why not make it fun at the same time and enjoy their
exactly.
company and enjoy those questions that they ask, the why, why does this work this way? Why does this work that way? It's always wonderful.
Yeah.
So getting up early, speaking of that, so what's your drink of choice in the morning?
Black coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
Nothing in it.
water
Just,
first, nothing in
yeah.
it. I'm
Nice.
doing the was it intermittent fasting,
Oh, good. Okay.
where I do the 11 to 7 are my
Uh-huh.
hours.
Hmm.
So it's just water and black coffee.
Nice.
First thing in the morning, though, is 1 liter of water before anything else. If anyone
Nice.
doesn't do that, I highly recommend it. It just gives
Yeah.
you because I used to go straight to coffee and I'd realize these little spikes.
Yeah.
You're burning from the get go.
Sure.
So
Sure.
so drink of choice first thing in the morning is water, and then once I'm done my liter, rewarded with some coffee. I think,
Nice. Ooh.
yeah,
Love it. Love it. So if you could do one job besides the one you're doing right now, what would it be?
own a record label.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, I love music, and I
Mm,
think, and maybe it also intrigues me of
mhm,
how to do it successfully.
mm.
Like especially in the day to day today, there's Spotify, there's Apple
Yeah.
Music, there's and I know a lot of artists that
Mhm.
don't get paid well because of these platforms.
Sure.
So it's how do you make that a sustainable business,
Mhm.
and go up against the Sonys and the EMIs and this, like, is it there? So I
Right.
think it's just that, and that music. I think music is something that is very special. I know it's
Yeah.
very special to me. Never trust anyone that says they don't listen to music. But yeah, I think
Uh,
owning a record label, I think would be the one, or throwing events
huh.
like like the Lollapaloozas and the
Sure.
Osheagas and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, music
No,
is just a
that's
big part of my life. So
I love it. That's great. Any particular genre that you love more than others?
not really.
It's
Um,
everything. Kind of a
Everything.
multi. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Very cool. Very
yeah.
cool. So, besides Rewind, what is your other go-to SaaS software? It could be on your phone, it could be on your computer that you just can't live without.
Can we say Spot? Can I say Spotify? Does that
Yeah.
qualify as a SaaS? I mean,
Yeah,
Spotify.
it's
I
absolutely
think
it's a SaaS.
Instagram.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
Instagram. I mean, Slack wouldn't be able to work without it.
Yeah.
But you know what? I try to keep it as minimal as possible as well because I'm on it all
Mhm.
day.
Mhm.
But I would have to say Spotify. I think,
Nice.
it's just at your hands, right? I mean, I
Mhm.
remember you'd carry a boombox around and put cassette tapes in, and
Right.
music wasn't always available.
Yeah.
And then Instagram is such a powerful tool as well, right? Where
Yeah.
you can really find some good inspiration, in Instagram. The younger social medias like the
Mhm.
TikToks, and it's too young for me, but I get it. It's busy, it's
Uh,
there,
right.
but a little too busy for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when this podcast is ready, it will be available on Spotify as well, so you can jump
Oh,
in there
amazing.
and listen to it while you do other things around the house or whatever else you're doing. So that's great. So, if you could give yourself one talent that you currently don't have, what would it be?
Wow, that's a good one. Um, One talent that I currently don't have. It's a good one. I think mind reading. I'd like to be a mind
Oh,
reader.
nice. Well,
Or is it a
that's
super? Are we
powerful.
talking superpowers? Or are we talking? But
Any kind of power you want, any kind.
wow, but then that could be dangerous too, right? Knowing what people are
You
thinking.
Yeah, you may not want to know what they're thinking about you,
Yeah.
but you would always love to know what they're thinking about when you're talking to them about business or life or anything like that. You're like,
Yes.
oh, this is great. No, I love that. That's fascinating. So tell me, the last question for you is, what is your favorite online store and why is it your favorite?
Favorite online store, I have to say, the skate and snowboard store that I used to work at,
Hmm.
Top of the World,
Hmm.
topoftheworld.com. Friends of mine, and just seeing them. I remember the day when I was working, and they were 20 years old at this point. It's one of the oldest skate shops in Canada. They're
Wow.
30 or 35 years this year as an
Wow.
independent, locally run business. And I remember somebody came in wearing shoes that we sold. And they're
Hmm.
like, where'd you get those? It was the kind of point where, like, you're the only skate shop in town and you knew, like,
Right.
where'd you get those shoes? And they're like, oh, I ordered them online. And we're all
Uh,
kind of like, huh?
yeah.
You got them where? Like, online? Okay. Okay. And then, just watch them pivot to online, and then
Hmm.
the point of sale, and
Nice.
they're doing great.
Wow.
So I think just because I went through growing pains with them, I think
Hmm.
that's the top store for me. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, I'm a big F1 fan. So Daniel Ricciardo's store is a fun one as well. He does really nice lines. Actually, I think he did a Texas line when they were down there.
Yeah.
He did an IndyCar style line.
That's cool. Yeah, I listened to him on the Smartless podcast with Jason Bateman and Will Arnett and Sean Hayes, and they interviewed him. It's fascinating, and I don't know enough about F1 that. So to me, it was just eye opening. Very, very interesting how it all worked. Well, Sam, this has been a pleasure. You've been a wealth of knowledge. We always love it when guests come on and provide tips and background, and you've got the entrepreneurial spirit ingrained within you. So really thank you for coming on the E-commerce Revolution podcast. Just take a minute, tell everybody where they can find out about Rewind, anything else you want to share with them, and where they can reach you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, Sam Francis on LinkedIn and rewind.com. Nice. Any questions, sam.francis@rewind.io, and protect your data, back it up. And I know data is a big word that isn't always living in the e-com space, but your data is your products, your orders, your customers, your themes. So it's your business.
Well said, Sam. Thank you again. Appreciate you coming on. All right, that brings us to the end of another episode of the E-commerce Revolution podcast. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. Also, go ahead and check out some of those past episodes filled with a wealth of knowledge as well. Make sure that you also check us out on LinkedIn. You can find us at SKU Agency. As always, if you need help with your email and SMS marketing, you can reach us at hello, HELLO, at skuagency.com. Mention the podcast and we'll hook you up with a free audit worth $850. Show you how you can make lots of extra money using email and SMS. That's all we have for today. Thanks very much, everybody. See ya.
This is just the beginning.
If you enjoyed this episode of the E-commerce Revolution podcast, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube or drop us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you very much.